So to start off, I'll talk about what forensic psychology is. According to the American Board of forensic psychology is the application of the science and profession of psychology to questions and issues related to law and the legal system. Forensic psychologists are specialists that bridge the fields of psychology and criminal justice. Forensic psychologists study human behavior by observing, questioning, and interpreting how people relate to others and how these individuals react to the situations in which they find themselves. Forensic psychologists can be hired at a variety of places, which will be discussed in depth in a few seconds. Forensic psychologists are helpful in family, civil, and criminal court. In family court, forensic psychologists may investigate child abuse cases and evaluate children in custody cases. In civil court, they provide therapy to victims and offer second opinions in psych matters. In criminal court, forensic psychologists may evaluate the defendant to determine if they are competent to stand trial, and they may work with witnesses who are emotionally traumatized. For example, they may help people who are involved in violent crimes. They help judges, attorneys, and others in the criminal system. Forensic psychologists are sometimes asked to determine if insanity is involved in some cases. In the U.S., a person cannot be held responsible for a crime if he or she did not possess a guilty mind at the time the crime was committed. The task for a forensic psychologist is especially hard because they have to determine the mental state of a person at the time of the crime and not their current mental state. In addition, they may also conduct research in the court system. For example, they may research why juries vote a certain way or why eyewitness testimony may be unreliable. There are many jobs in the court system for forensic psychologists. In addition to forensic psychologists being hired in courts, there are many other places that may hire them as well. For example, police departments may hire them as consultants and profilers during criminal investigations. They may also be hired in jails or prisons to provide rehabilitative treatment and education to inmates in preparation for their release to the outside world. Forensic psychologists may also conduct research at an institution or a university. Also, they could eventually become a professor and teach undergraduate or graduate programs. There is a wide variety of possibilities for job opportunities outside of the legal system for forensic psychology. Now I'm just going to go through a few steps that should be taken in the process to become a forensic psychologist. First off, a doctoral degree in psychology is necessary to practice as a licensed forensic psychologist. And then the general steps to become a forensic psychologist are as follows. Step 1 is to acquire a doctoral degree from an accredited program. Step 2 is to pursue doctoral level licensure through your state's board. Step 3 is to apply for an open forensic psychology position. Step 4 is to be interviewed. Step 5 would be to submit a background check. And step 6 would be to be hired as a forensic psychologist. And then the next two steps that I'm going to explain are optional, but some people choose to pursue these. And this would be, the first optional step would be to complete 1,000 hours of postdoctoral forensic psychology experience. And then step 2 of the optional steps would be to apply for and obtain an American Board of Professional Psychology forensic psychology certification. And then I'll just go a little bit more into that. The American Board of Professional Psychology requires graduates to meet all criteria for general psychology in addition to other criteria specifically for pursuing a forensic psychology certification. And the criteria is as follows. You must attend an accredited doctoral degree program. You must become a licensed psychologist in your state, and you must complete a minimum of 100 hours of education, which can include supervision or continuing education in forensic psychology, and then earn a minimum of 1,000 hours of postdoctoral forensic psychology experience. Again, it is completely optional to apply for certification from the American Board of Professional Psychology, but some people choose to pursue this path. So the salaries of forensic psychologists vary throughout the country, but the median salary for forensic psychologists in the United States is about $79,000. Connecticut's 50th percentile salary is about $77,000. The employment of psychologists is expected to increase by 14% from the years 2016 to 2026. There is especially an increasing demand in social service organizations and in the criminal justice system. People looking to hire forensic psychologists may look for these skills and traits in their candidates. First off, candidates should have a strong clinical skills, and they should also have strong communication and listening skills, as they will be talking to and listening to a lot of people in their job. They also should have emotional stability, as they will be working with a lot of types of cases and a lot of types of people, and sometimes the situations aren't always so great that they're working with, so they need to make sure that they can maintain their composure when they're working with people. They should also be able to work in a team, and because they will be working with all sorts of people, from people in the legal system to just normal people. They should also have the trait of being open-minded, and they have to be non-judgmental because they work with all types of people. And they have to have the ability to establish trust with offenders and accused criminals. This is a really tough one because they will be working with some not so great people, but they need to treat them the same that they would treat anybody else. They need to be able to analyze statistical information, and they should have the ability to comprehend and communicate legal terminology. This one's a given because a lot of their work is done in the legal system. Some of it's not, but a lot of it is. So they need to be able to understand the legal terminology going on in the court. As I was conducting research, I saw that www.criminaljusticeDegreeSchools.com had conducted an interview with forensic psychologist Michael Wellner. I thought I would include some of these questions and answers that were shared from that interview because it gave perspective from an actual forensic psychologist. All credit to these questions and answers goes to www.criminaljusticeDegreeSchools.com. The first question that was asked was, what kind of hours does a forensic psychologist work? And Michael Wellner replied with, a psychologist's work schedule depends on their employer. Those who are employed by the government, police departments, correctional institutions, and rehabilitation facilities generally work a typical full-time 9-to-5 schedule. Self-employed psychologists, or those who work in private practice, may work irregular hours, including evenings and weekends, to cater to a wider base of clients. The second question that was asked was, what is the difference between a forensic psychologist and a forensic psychiatrist? Michael Wellner replied with, forensic psychologists hold doctorates in medicine, MDs, providing them with the ability to prescribe medication and order lab tests and to lead patients to psychotherapy. Forensic psychologists will either possess a PhD or a PsyD and generally specialize in an area not covered by forensic psychiatrists, such as psychological testing. And then the third and final question that was asked was, can I work as a psychologist with just a master's degree? And to that, Michael Wellner replied, no. To become certified forensic psychologists, candidates must possess a PhD or a PsyD in psychology and specialized certification in forensic psychology. So that concludes my presentation on the topic of forensic psychology. I thought that the topic was very interesting and it was very fun to research, so thanks for listening.